The most shocking words ever spoken in mixed martial arts might have just been uttered in a gym in Thailand. When someone bluntly asked Jon Jones, "When are you fighting Tom?" his response sent shockwaves across the entire MMA world.
And right now, Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcement.
Those 8 words, Tom and I have agreed, represent the strongest hint yet that the most anticipated heavyweight fight in UFC history might actually happen. But here's the twisted part. While Jones was making these cryptic promises, nearly 200,000 furious fans were simultaneously signing a petition demanding he be stripped of his heavyweight title. How did the greatest fighter of all time become the most hated man in MMA? The answer is more shocking than you think. While the MMA world waited desperately for answers about the Tom Aspinall fight, Jon Jones was living it up in Thailand, filming a Russian reality show called ALF Global Reality. But this wasn't just any ordinary filming experience. Jones was supposed to coach opposite Nate Diaz in what should have been must-see television. Instead, the whole thing turned into an absolute disaster on day one. One of Jones's fighters, a notorious troublemaker named Zalek, decided to play fight with Nate Diaz. Jones later admitted this was a terrible idea, saying it became serious right away, and they had to replace Diaz entirely. Videos show a full-scale brawl erupting with punches being thrown, and Diaz's team storming off set. But that was just the beginning of Jones's wild Thailand adventures. The footage that emerged from Thailand raised serious concerns among MMA fans. Videos showed Jones riding on the back of a scooter, pulling the driver's hair like handlebars, appearing disoriented and erratic. Fans immediately started speculating about his condition, with many making no-diddy jokes and questioning whether the former cocaine user was partying again. Meanwhile, Jones was posting about his daily fights with social media star Hasbullah, claiming the tiny influencer kicked him in the mouth and left him with a bloody lip. The whole situation felt surreal. The heavyweight champion of the world was posting about getting beat up by a 3-foot-tall internet personality, while the '1 contender waited endlessly for his shot. As Jones continued his Thailand antics, something unprecedented was happening back home. A Change.org petition demanding the UFC strip Jones of his heavyweight title exploded across social media, reaching over 200,000 signatures in just weeks. The petition, started by a user called Tony Has Died, laid out a damning case against Jones. It pointed out that Jones had only fought twice as heavyweight champion while becoming the longest reigning title holder in that division's modern history. Most shocking of all, Tom Aspinall himself promoted the petition on his Instagram story, sharing a video of Jones running away with the caption encouraging fans to sign. The petition's language was brutal. Jones refuses to fight Aspinall. He clearly has no intentions of fighting anytime soon. When Jones first saw the petition at 40,000 signatures, he dismissively called it the equivalent to picograms, referencing his infamous steroid controversy. But as the numbers climbed past 100,000, then 150,000, then approached 200,000, the mockery turned to concern. Jones' supporters even launched a counter-petition, but it could barely scrape together 100 signatures compared to the massive opposition movement. Behind these staggering numbers lies an even more shocking story. Tom Aspinall has now held the interim heavyweight title for over 600 days, officially breaking the UFC record for longest reigning interim champion in history. Think about that for a moment. An interim champion who's held his belt longer than most undisputed champions ever do. Aspinall won his interim title after Jones pulled out of a fight, then defended it with a 60-second destruction of Curtis Blades. Since then, he's been trapped in promotional limbo while Jones plays games. The entire heavyweight division has ground to a halt because Jones apparently demanded what he called "fuck you money" to take the fight, along with a 6-month break to film his reality show. The UFC has enabled this behavior in a way that would be unthinkable for any other fighter. Imagine if any other champion held up an entire division for over a year and a half while making reality TV shows overseas. The psychological warfare between Jones and Aspinall has been vicious and one-sided. Jones has repeatedly dismissed Aspinall's accomplishments, claiming his resume isn't strong enough despite the Brit finishing every opponent in devastating fashion. From Thailand, Jones posted mocking messages about his new UK following, sarcastically thanking Aspinall for the free promo, while encouraging fans to keep signing the petition to strip him. The mind games reached a new low when Jones claimed half the crowd at his Thailand seminar flew in from the UK, essentially taunting British fans who desperately want to see their hero get a shot. Aspinall finally snapped back in the most brutal way possible, publicly declaring Jones retired and saying it's time to move on from the former champion, effectively calling Jones's bluff. The mental toll on Aspinall has been visible, with the typically composed Brit admitting he's had enough of waiting around for someone who clearly doesn't want to fight him. The contradictions from UFC leadership have been staggering throughout this entire saga. Dana White has repeatedly guaranteed that Jones versus Aspinall will happen in 2025, calling it the biggest fight in heavyweight history. But every few weeks, White's tune changes. Sometimes the fight is done but not done. Other times it's just a matter of when. And occasionally, insiders leak that Jones has been given another 6-month delay. MMA insider Chael Sonnen dropped bombshells claiming Jones and Aspinall had agreed all the way down to the date, only to later reveal Jones wanted 180 more days and that Aspinall might defend his interim title again against Cyril Gane. The constantly shifting narratives suggest either complete incompetence from UFC brass or deliberate deception to buy Jones more time. Meanwhile, Jones himself posted cryptically that he told the UFC his plans a long time ago and doesn't know why they haven't shared them with fans yet. The whole situation reeks of backroom deals and special treatment that would make other fighters revolt if they witnessed it happening to them. What makes this entire situation even more shocking is watching Jon Jones transform from beloved GOAT to the most divisive figure in MMA history. Fans who once defended his every move are now calling him the biggest embarrassment in UFC history. The same fighter who inspired millions with his incredible comeback stories and seemingly impossible victories is now being mocked for hiding from a 32-year-old British heavyweight. The irony is staggering. Jones spent his entire career overcoming impossible odds and defeating legends, only to seemingly run from his toughest challenge when it finally arrived. Even worse, Jones appears to be enjoying the villain role, trolling fans and encouraging them to sign petitions against him while collecting paychecks from reality TV shows. The heavyweight division that should be experiencing a golden age, with talents like Aspinall, Cyril Gane, and Alexander Volkov, is instead frozen in time because one man refuses to do his job. The precedent being set suggests that any champion with enough star power can essentially hold a division hostage indefinitely. If the UFC allows this to continue, what stops other champions from demanding extended breaks, reality TV opportunities, and massive pay increases before defending their titles? The integrity of the sport itself is at stake. Although recent developments suggest this saga may finally be reaching a conclusion, though not necessarily the one fans want. Jones's Thailand statements about having agreed with Tom and the UFC could mean contracts are signed, and we're just waiting for an announcement. But given Jones's history of cryptic messages and false promises, many fans remain skeptical. Industry insiders suggest a November 2025 date at Madison Square Garden is possible, but Jones has also hinted he might simply retire and pop out occasionally for exhibition matches. The most terrifying possibility for MMA fans is that Jones continues this game indefinitely, collecting champion pay while occasionally posting social media updates from exotic locations. Tom Aspinall, meanwhile, is in his physical prime and shouldn't have to waste another year of his career waiting for someone who may never show up. The transformation of Jon Jones from the greatest of all time to the most controversial figure in MMA represents something deeper about modern combat sports. When champions become bigger than the sport itself, when star power trumps competitive integrity, and when fans have to literally petition to see title fights happen, something has gone fundamentally wrong. Jones built his legacy on the idea that he would fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. Now that same fighter appears to be doing everything possible to avoid the one fight that would cement his heavyweight legacy. Whether this story ends with an epic showdown in the octagon or with Jones being stripped of his title, one thing is certain. The Jon Jones we once knew and celebrated has been replaced by someone entirely different. And 200,000 fans signing a petition to strip him of his belt proves that even the greatest fighter of all time isn't bigger than the sport itself. The question now isn't whether Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. It's whether he'll go down as the GOAT who conquered every challenge or the champion who ran from his greatest test when it finally arrived. With new rumors circling, we are now hearing the fight is signed and that the UFC are hoping to make the announcement at this year's International Fight Week. With Jones versus Aspinall expected to be the first event shown on the UFC's newest TV and streaming platform once the billion-dollar deal has been finalized. Is Jon Jones still the fighter we all remember, or is Tom Aspinall just that good? Leave your prediction in the comments.